The next presentation, I will invite Pak Ibnu from the Indonesian Embassy in The Hague. Pak, silakan.
Well, it's a bit embarrassing. Stepping up to this stage, I'll be holding this piece of paper without any digital presentation. Please forgive my old-fashioned manner about this. But anyway, I have to finish my job, so Pak Assasilalahi of the Indonesian Embassy in Brussels, Mrs. Piet van der Loo, Vice Mayor of Best, Pak Haricayono of Indoglobit, and my fellow countrymen from Indonesia, from whichever institutions they are. Good afternoon. Let us imagine for a while, for just a moment, a world without information and communication technology, or ICT. What would life will be without ICT? You would not have smartphone, no MP3 player, no television, no internet connection for email and web browsing, no computer games, or no computers at all. Without ICT, you would probably have a miserable and boring life. The development of the world today would not be so rapidly as it is now without ICT. Today, ICT has become commonplace entity in all aspects of life. In the past 20 years, the use of ICT has fundamentally changed the practices and procedures of nearly all forms of endeavor within personal, business, and governance. With ICT, long-distance communication has become real-time, not only by voice, but also through live video feed. Distance has become less and less of significance. Even bilateral relations between Indonesia and the Netherlands has no doubt been and will be more and more affected by the development of ICT. With ICT, people-to-people and business-to-business relations are boosted, forcing governments to better accommodate and facilitate those relations in a timely manner. Now, what about Indonesia? Indonesia's economic growth during the last decade is relatively high, reaching 5.5%. Throughout this period, Indonesia's economy has grown up to $1 trillion, with population possessing high purchasing power considered as consuming class, where more than 40% of its current population are young and productive. As one of the emerging economies with vibrant young population, the role of ICT in everyday life, for personal and business use in Indonesia is becoming increasingly significant. We may be surprised or not to learn that internet growth in Indonesia is driven on grassroots level, especially the youth. It is estimated that there is more than 42 million active internet users in Indonesia. This is 16.72% of population and user growth of 9%. The penetration of smartphone usage is 23%. Indonesian youth are very active in online social media. 60 million users on Facebook, 20 million users on Twitter. Indonesians spend an average of 9 hours a day staring at their electronic devices. And this making Indonesia the most active users out of 30 countries recently surveyed by market research agency Gulfware Brown. Growing number of ICT professionals in Indonesia is reflected in rising enrollment of students into ICT related studies in more than 50 universities. To further advance the ICT development in Indonesia, the new Indonesian government has determined that ICT sector to be one of the premium investments abroad. In a self-reflection of comparative advantage in this sector, the government has also resolved to encourage companies to invest abroad, in addition to inviting foreign investments coming to the country. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, there are a number of ICT companies from Indonesia are here with us today. Most of them were also present during the Indonesian ICT Day 2014. This event presents a valuable opportunity to further strengthen business-to-business relations between Indonesia and the Netherlands, to complement the existing cordial and mutually beneficial relations between the two countries. Let's take advantage of this event as a momentum to transform technology into a profitable business for the people of Indonesia and the Netherlands. Last but not least, let me thank the Indonesian Embassy in Brussels and Indoglobit Europe for collaborating with the Indonesian Embassy in The Hague in organizing the second Indonesia ICT Day 2015. I urge you to make use of this event to rock your brains, since we are in Brainport, even more, and finally boost each other's earnings. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Dank u wel.
Terima kasih, Pak Ibnu. So, thank you very much, Pak Ibnu. Highly appreciated. There was the speeches from our distinguished guests. Now we enter the presentation from the companies. As a host and as the Brainport area, I would like to ask first Case from High-Tech Campus to tell us a little bit about the High-Tech Campus, what is they doing while we are here today. So, Case, come to the stage, please.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, welcome at the High-Tech Campus. I'm very honored to be your host this afternoon with respect to the facility. Some speakers have already said something about the Netherlands. Most of them were introducing Indonesia, and one of the most interesting aspects of Indonesia as a country, I think, is already mentioned but not stressed enough. We look to Indonesia with some envy because Indonesia is a very young country with a very young population. And if you look to technology and the applications of technology in our society, we are convinced that most of these aspects can best be dealt with by young people. Because that's what we do over here. We constantly look for young talents, because if you mention cities of the future or Internet of Things, that's not something that can best be dealt by people of my age. You really need young, innovative, and people with an understanding of modern society. So I think for that reason, cooperation between the Netherlands and Indonesia can be very beneficial for both countries. So let me explain about the High-Tech Campus. So just to summarize, I've already invited some of the guests today to stay here for a couple of hours. That implied I only want to be here for a couple of days. But that's fine with me too. But this is just to summarize. At this moment, over 130 companies are located at the campus. At those 130 companies, some 10,000 people work here. And they are international oriented. So people from Asia, people from many countries in Europe, but also from the Americas. And one of the reasons that we are so international oriented. From the people point of view, more and more people in Europe look for international careers. That's very advantageous for the high-tech campus, of course, because talent is not limited to country borders. So we prefer to have the best mix of talents from Europe, but also from Asia and from the Americas. So the mix, and I will stress that again and again, the mix of different people with different talents, with different backgrounds, with different looks to the future, that makes us strong. So we want to be international oriented. We focus on turning technology into business, so we work together with the technical university, but we are not focusing on scientific knowledge. We focus on industrial research, and the end result of the activities performed over here should be a product into the market. And I will come back on that when I talk about startups, because startups, the Netherlands and Indonesia, I see some very nice connections. We focus, from the other hand, on industrial research up to pilot manufacturing. We don't have any manufacturing on the site for two reasons. First of all, there wouldn't be so much synergy with the existing parties located on the site, and second, we would run out of space too fast. So if we're going to build factories, you need buildings which are not too high. So for one or two factories, we would use all land existing to develop. So that's what we don't want. Just to focus once more on the aspect I've already mentioned, startups, let me just focus on 4 aspects of technology and innovation with the trends for the last 30 years. So in the 80s, if you want to cooperate on research, that's what we call contract research. So both parties agreed on the contract, and that was it. 10 years later, open innovation already started. So share knowledge, especially in the pre-competitive phase. So working with your competitor in the area of product development isn't a very good idea, I think, because you're competitors. But working with your competitor on technology that will only be introduced into the market 10 years from now already started in 1995 to become a very good idea, because then you have much more opportunities for technology development. Technology spotting became popular because the world was getting that big, and so many people, especially in Asia, studied engineering and ICT and physics, just to mention. So the number of new technologies exploded. And so technology spotting became very popular for global companies. So just finding out, hey, this is an interesting technology, I will work with that university. Because they couldn't do it all, because there was an explosion of talent. Nowadays, startup and buying startups, guaranteeing the global companies access to new technology, is getting more and more popular. But what is not so easy, and there's a lot of publishing in the business books, startup integration. Because if a global company buys a startup company, the cultures of the two companies don't easily fit. So what you often see is that the global company agrees with the CEO of the startup to make an agreement where they transfer knowledge, but then the CEO of the startup, the former startup I should say, prefers to to begin with a new startup again, instead of being part of a global company. And that's exactly what makes startup integration, so the ideas of the people from a startup, transfer that into a global company, is not so very easy. So that's typically a trend that's going on right now. So as a campus organization, we focus on businesses, institutes and facilities. Businesses, so global companies, startups and small medium enterprises with an international character. Institutes, we prefer the R&D programs, and the government funding we prefer, not for the funding, we're not interested in the funding, but the fact that the government, at least that's the way the Dutch government works, when the government is involved with their funding, it means it's a long-term view. So it's a stable situation where the government wants the country to excel on certain aspects. To mention, the Dutch government stimulates the development of solar systems based on high efficiency solar panels. So that's a long-term view. The existing panels, nice to buy, but the future panels should really result in high efficiency solar collectors, which transfers the complete energy market. So that's the kind of long-term R&D projects we're looking for. And of course what we offer, labs, offices, conference facilities, IT infrastructure and incubators. And what do we do as a campus? We add business support in the means of IP consultancy, marketing companies are included in the campus high-tech ecosystem, and very important, venture capital. Venture capital, especially to stimulate startups to develop certain technology. And the high-tech ecosystem is then formed by us by stimulating that conferences, that a lot of knowledge is generated by mutual contact, and that there is an effective transfer of knowledge from young people to old people, from certain disciplines to other disciplines. So we organize all kinds of events to make sure that the knowledge is not within a single people's mind, but it's transferred to other colleagues, to people from other disciplines, to people from other companies, and that together we are a very stimulating and effective technology development area. That's the high-tech ecosystem we call the campus. To focus on startups, we focus on health, energy and smart environments. Health is of course, especially in our country, very clear, because our population gets older and older, and we want to do two things. First of all, the most important, but also the most challenging, to prevent people to get ill. Easy said, not so easy realized. But just remember, when some of our organs of people gets cancer, before that the doctor can objectively state this is cancer, there is already going on a process for 3 years, a chemical process, where if you would have the right diagnostic means, you can already see, hey, you're not yet ill, but the process going on is not according to the rules. So if we would have this kind of diagnostic tools, we could, in a very early stage, detect you're not yet ill, but if you don't follow the right treatment, you will be ill in 3 years from now. So that's one of the aspects. The other aspects of health is whenever you get ill, we want, as a Dutch society, we want to cue you in the best possible way that you can still have a life which fulfills the requirement of what we think should be to the standards of 2015. So that's activities in health. Very important is smart environments. Smart environments means smart environments at home, smart environments at work, but also smart environments on the way. So if you look to cities of the future, that's all about smart environments. And I think we don't mention ICT as a campus, but smart environments, you know that as Abyor, smart environments has everything to do with the Internet of Things. Especially when 5G or the successor of even 5G will be operational, then we will see the results of Internet of Things applied to cities, homes, cars, etc. And we want to be very strong in smart environments. And also, just to mention one of the ambitions of the Dutch government, our Ministry of Infrastructure has mentioned driverless cars. We should be on the #1 position in the world. So we want to support that by being excellent prepared with the smart environment activities. Going back to startups, because we have I want to say something about startups. This year we have given some extra attention to startup activities. And what is so nice about startups? Because startups are not smaller versions of a big company. The real mass activities can best be done by global companies. So this is not a very good example of transferring carriers from one part of the world to another part. But startups are not so dumb, they will compete with this kind of companies. What startups do, you often hear the term disruptive, they change the business models. And changing the business models is something startups are much better in than global companies. So this kind of activities, global companies will not compete with those bulk carriers, but they will find smarter ways to transfer products or information from one part to the other part. Whether they will transfer electronic chips by optical chips, that could be. Whether they reserve other parts of the internet for effective communication by people, whether they start with complete new ideas. I'll give you a nice example where they started with complete new ideas. We have the Startup Bootcamp, so the accelerator for startups. And one of the startups, just two guys, and they were assisted by their professor in engineering. They had the idea of a very effective range extender for an electric car. What they did is, they started completely from zero. So they just said, we have nothing, there are no limitations, let's just design the best range extender we can ever think about. Then BMW, they introduced two commercial cars based on electrical systems, i3 and i8. High-end cars. And if you compare the result of their range extender from the startup with the BMW range extender, what do you think is the difference? Up to you. Only performance based. I'm not yet talking about costs. What do you think of the performance?
No difference.
No difference.
Yeah.
Who is in favor of BMW? because those guys are very good at that. No. What do you think is the performance increase by the startup? 30%. You know why? Because we analyzed it because I was curious for the answer. BMW guys are very smart, but they always get constraints. It should be ready by then and then, or it should not cost more than blah blah blah, or it should be compatible for the two types. They always have constraints. The startups had no constraints. They needed more time, of course, but they have achieved an increase in efficiency by 30%. That will change the world. So they didn't have any problems with their funding by $2 million US for the next phase. And of course, you can guess who was involved in the funding. Quite some car manufacturers, of course. So I think for effective startups, you need smart people. You need young people. You need people who think in the disruptive way. And I can see, and we have to detail that, because our startup bootcamp can easily cooperate with startups in Indonesia. I think that's a very nice way to cooperate with your young talented people, and our experience we would like to transfer, because we can both benefit from the mutual interaction. I hope you enjoyed this afternoon. I hope you enjoy our campus, and maybe we'll speak on an individual basis later this afternoon. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kees. Okay. Thank you. So next presenter will be the company from Indonesia. Now the session from Indonesia to present the products, the capability, the quality. So now I invite the first company, which is alphabetical order. So Abyor International, Pak Gun, please come to the stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity given to us. My name is Gun. I am Professional Director Abyor Indonesia. Sorry if my voice is not so clear because I'm not so well, but I'll try my best to do this. I'm talking about sub add-on solutions and offshore development services from Abyor. Actually, I'm not young anymore, but our people, our staff there, because we are SAP Gold Partner in Indonesia, and we are the first SAP partner that recruit staff from fresh graduate. We are starting on 2006 with 17 people, fresh graduate from UGM, ITB, and IBB. And now we are about 219, but I cannot tell you the exact number because almost every month we recruit people to be our employer. Our expectation is by end of the year, this year is about 300 plus, and by 2018 maybe about 500 plus. That's what we are doing. We are having office in Indonesia, of course, and in Eindhoven. We have also we have office in Sydney, Australia. We have office in Singapore and in Eindhoven. Okay. We have some project in those countries. This is geographical. Now, why we are offering add-on solutions in SAP? Because SAP standards cannot cover all of the requirements from the customer, especially for Indonesian market. So we have to develop. Oh, it's so sensitive. It's okay. That's good, isn't it? Okay. That's why we develop add-on application, and our application is certified by SAP. This is what we have developed: plantation management, e-procurement. I didn't do anything. Automatic. Yes, automatic. So I don't need this then. Okay, that's nice. Okay, we have plantation management, e-procurement, travel management, interface with SAP. We have already certified for plantation management. You see now, okay, based on the source dating 2012, this is the production of future forest plantation is about 1.5 billion meter cubic, and by 2040 around 6 billion. This is challenge in the plantation industry, labor scarcity and cost, of course, and the land scarcity. The price competitions, despite with high demands, we have price competition as well, especially with the surrounding countries. Environmental issues, maintain productivity yield, and scalability. This is the solution that we have developed. We have baseline configuration with SAP solutions, finance, budget, control, production, maintenance, sales, all, and for plantations, we develop starting from land clearings, nursery, imager, harvesting, attendance, payroll, check roll, and transport. We have developed for sugar canes, for tobacco, for what else? What not? Or some plantations. Palm oil. This is the biggest CPU. Palm oil. We have developed palm oil application with this. We are now handling a project for BTPN, this national palm oil company in Indonesia. It's because we have developed from Surabaya, starting now from tobacco and sugar cane. This is the detailed business process for land clearing, nursery, maturity harvest. This application can be, in Indonesia, the connectivity, and especially related to these plantations, usually the company working with the farmer. Okay, they have the land. The plantation company will put the thing to the land. Farmer will develop it, but they have to report it regularly. They will report it by mobile, by Android applications. So now the headquarters will know exactly what is happening in the field. This is what we have developed, and by daily, weekly, and monthly, company can monitor the progress of the plan. Now, talking about e-procurement. Regarding e-procurement, actually it's quite hot in Indonesia because now, especially with our new presidents, this is one of the initiatives that should be fulfilled. But the issue is regarding the people. Procurement is not people in procurement is not that easy to manage it, especially in industry, because if you want to have good purchasing, let's say purchasing people, they have to have knowledge regarding the product. Okay, so with this software, it's much easier for them to manage it by the catalog, by the material, by the detailed information, because all is in the system. So also regarding the global sourcing, linkage between global sourcing and office and headquarters, because there's some company in Indonesia that have office in Vietnam, in China, and so on. How they want to have global sourcing, so the cost is will reduce a lot. And related to cross-function and collaboration, this is more the detailed business process, the deal flow of the linkage between the ERP and the e-procurement. Okay, you can see this is SAP side. This is our add-ons flow, but we have to choose actually. This is the flow from purchase requisition, tender proposal, and so on. But anytime you have different business process, you can choose starting from this. You can go to pre-qualification. We make the application is quite flexible. So anytime your business process changes, is by configuration, you can have this application suitable for the company. We covered end-to-end procurement process, integration with sourcing necessity, and the third one is collaborative procurement. This is procurement excellence with e-procurement that we have developed. So if we are talking about procurement, then we are talking about vendor management, we are talking about tender management, we are talking about bidding and e-auction at awarding. Okay, this is the we have security access control, bidding schedule, so you can monitor the process of bidding. You can optimize bandwidth consumption. So we develop this product. So because when the product is already uploaded to devices, so only data transfer between server to devices. So no need every time communicated all things with the server. So bandwidth consumption will be minimized. This is open capabilities. Also mobile ready, whereas responsive web design. Yeah. This is travel management. Okay, this is the data we have got from Travel Price Outlook 2015. So if you see Netherlands is in 2014, the increase is 1.6%, but in estimated in 2015 we reach 4.5%. And so on. This is data. Why we develop this? Because of we know that travel cost is quite high. restrictive travel policy. We have tracking expense, not just ticket and hotels, but all expenses that you have from the office, we will track, and smartphone tablets, increasing travel demands, and transparency. So this application is capable of tracking all your expenses from advance, maybe if you want to travel or travel planning expense, we can manage it. So when you have travel plan, your departure, settlement, approval, assignment, all things will be managed by the applications. Okay, and without this, maybe you cannot travel. The SIM, security, expense document management, mobile approval, notification, easy and track user interface. This is our capabilities. Yeah. Okay, those things is actually add-on application to SAP environments. Now I'm talking about offshore services developments that we have done. Okay, design, you see offshore development with design requirements in any countries, development testing in Indonesia, Cloud procedures in another country. Yeah. We have, this is the tool that support development frameworks, Agile, Scrum, we are doing for this development. We develop it using Java, .NET, Ruby on Rails, PHP. This is our customer that we have done with us, Systicoms, okay, application. This is for health cards using .NET, okay. We developed it in 3 months. Customer design a cloud service for mental health care which allows therapists to manage their patient appointment and insurance billing. Maybe some of us in Netherlands have already used these applications. This application is developed by us and now in cloud environments. Okay. Okay, for Indonesian Embassy, we develop native application for visa. Apalagi bisa good. One my presentation finish. This is native application for visa and passport services which can enable barcode directly from the phone. We developed in 6 months. So why I'm explaining this actually related to Pahari presentations. We are capable of developing something from Indonesia. This is as a sample that we can develop applications add on to SAP. We can develop cloud applications out of SAP. Okay, we are working with some members of Indoglobit. Okay, now it's your time to work with us to develop any application related to IT services. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Pak Good. So this is Abyor International. So basically SAP partner, but also developing add-ons for SAP in ERP. And we also serve development. So we develop many products from here. We got a project from Europe, from Netherlands, and we develop from Indonesia. So this is the proof that we can do, cooperate, and develop in Indonesia and sell it elsewhere in the world.